Fit Intent Nation, it is day 47. We are officially now into the final third of the program. And if you have not booked your scan, I really encourage you to. There's still about 5 or 6 people who haven't had their scan. They never booked it. They haven't come in. So listen, just come in and see how you've done. We did have a minor hiccup with one person this morning on the scan. It was the same issue, but the next person who came in and after that everything was okay. So just a reminder, when you do come in, please make sure you don't have any cream on your hands. I don't know if that was the cause of this. I just I just know that creams can do this. It can have an issue with the scanner. Just make sure your hands and your feet are clean as well, okay? Clean, but at the same time, we don't want them to be dry either, because dry skin sometimes is just not going to conduct well on those sensors. So it's good if you moisturize, just don't moisturize right before you come in. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to get through a bunch of questions here as fast as possible. I talked about this before, but sugar cravings, listen, your number one secret to curbing your sugar cravings is to make sure you get in all your protein. Okay, the protein overall is going to help reduce your feelings of wanting to have carbohydrates. Okay, and there's several reasons for that, which I'm not going to get into today. But I just want to remind you that there are. Well, why don't I go through my favorite protein sources? I know this may not be helpful to you necessarily, especially if you're vegan, but maybe it will. Okay, so these are things that I have on hand at all times. I always have iRound or sirloin tip steak. Okay, so I have those made. I virtually always have those made and on hand. Chicken breast, ground turkey. I usually make a ground turkey mix with some stir-fried vegetables and some seasoning. Greek yogurt, Magnum Quattro. I have both flavors, chocolate and vanilla, just to give me some variety. Cottage cheese. Okay, now I don't really like cottage cheese, but there is one that Costco carries, and it's really, really good, and it's by Island Farms. I highly recommend that one. I would give it a shot if you've tried cottage cheese and you don't like it, you just try this one and see if you do, because it is a lot different. Isobars, Quest bars, eggs, and egg whites. Okay, now obviously the first couple I mentioned there, the steak, the chicken, the turkey, those have to be pre-made and on hand. I just put them in. I tend to put them in. I know I should put them in containers. I tend to put them in Ziplocs. It's just more. I just find it's more space efficient. But I know it's not the best for the environment. The rest I just have on hand, and it's very easy. One of my go-to meals is, I love to do oatmeal and egg white and egg. I just mix the dry oatmeal with the egg white and egg. I nuke it in the microwave till it's all cooked through. I mash it around, and I either put in berries, so mixed berries. But I usually actually end up doing banana or Granny Smith apple, okay? If your carbs are getting low though, maybe you want to do berries, okay? And it makes a great meal. Sometimes adding in some cinnamon and some sweetener like some stevia can make a world of a difference as well, okay? Even just egg white, oatmeal, some cinnamon and some stevia is really, really good, okay? Give it a shot. Just make sure that the egg mixture with the oatmeal, okay, so again, that the dry oatmeal, the raw oatmeal with the raw eggs mixed together, make sure that's fully cooked through, okay? Protein is your number one savior for keeping your cravings down, especially your sugar cravings, okay? Your diet post-program. Okay, I don't really want to get into this too much, okay? So in a nutshell, I will tell you this. I do give you a specific exit strategy, but if you just keep your calories somewhere in the range that we started, if you keep your calories somewhere within the range that you have throughout the challenge, and you keep your protein up, of course, that should be good enough, okay? That should be good enough for you to at least maintain, all right? So remember, it's just being reasonable, consistent. It's just being consistent with something reasonable through time, but we got to make sure that protein is there, okay? So we got to watch our total calorie intake, but we got to make sure the protein is there, okay? That, in a nutshell, will help you tremendously, okay? If you just can stay within that ballpark after the challenge. You're going to get a lot more out of doing something maybe even not as extreme, but over the longer period of time, all right? So even if you took your week 1 numbers and you just kept those for, you know, the ongoing foreseeable future, with the exception of a couple of you I did reduce your calories more, not tremendously, but just a little bit. You know, you should be totally fine with that. You should continue to see some good results. How often should you stretch? Okay, so really, ideally, you should try to match every training session with a stretch session. What's a stretch session? You know, you should, whatever you train in the gym, you should meet that up with some, like whatever body parts you've taxed in the gym, let's say legs, you should spend, you know, at least, I would say at least 20 minutes stretching out those areas, okay? So if you're doing 3 training sessions, well, you are, okay? As a challenge member, you're doing 3 training sessions per week, I would do 3 20-minute stretch sessions to match that, okay? Okay, 20 to 30 minutes. Not being as hungry on non-training days. Okay, yeah, this might be the case. I mean, you're not going to burn as many calories, so you just may not be as hungry. I actually find generally I'm kind of hungry. I don't know why that is, but I tend to be hungrier. I think because I'm not training, my stomach is a little more settled. Okay, let's get to one more question here. Tips on eating out. Okay, so I've already talked about this. I'm gonna remind you guys, okay, that you should stick with just the basic foods. If you go out to eat, have some rice and, you know, a certain kind of meat, or you know, like fish and rice, or steak and potato, or something that is basic, right? A basic protein strong food, a basic carbohydrate strong food. You know, you can even do, you know, a salad, although you're not really gonna get much carbs with that. You know, a salad with some meat or something. At least you know what you're getting. You just don't want to do these meals where you're ordering something and you just don't know what's in there. And there are so many different ingredients added in that you can't possibly determine what the macros are going to be, okay? The easiest one is a steak. They're always weighed out, but generally all the meats are weighed out. And a good basic carbohydrate, okay? All right, message of the day. All right. Sometimes you just have to get going to get going. Okay. Sometimes you just have to get going to get going. And you know what? To be honest with you, this is a quote I made up this morning because it just came to me this morning when somebody wrote to me and they said they're having problems with motivation. But sometimes what it is it's the opposite. It's like you need some sort of stimulus and you believe that that's motivation. But sometimes it's just like saying, no, screw it, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about how I feel. I'm just going to go and do it. I'm not saying you should ignore the way you feel, but I'm just saying that sometimes you can talk yourself out of something. Just get up, go and do it, which is why I recommend doing exercise first thing in the morning. And then that stimulates the motivation. Okay, as odd as that sounds. But sometimes it's like you get going, you start to see some results, you physically feel better, you've accomplished something for the day, etc., etc. And that is enough to start at least a stimulus of motivation. So that in and of itself will motivate you to continue, all right? So sometimes it's just about getting the pedals turning, so to speak, and then that momentum gets going and then you move forward, okay? So sometimes it's not that you need motivation. Sometimes it's you just got to get the wheels in motion, not the pedals in motion, I meant to say the wheels in motion, and that will get you motivated. That will actually build some motivation, okay? All right, positive energy, positive vibes. believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you guys all very soon. See you guys.